All right, we are live. Hey guys, it's Dr. Tracy, and I wanted to jump on. I hear an echo. Out of all this time, I did not hear an echo at all, and now it wants to X special. Wow, I love it. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, that's better. I'm like, wait, I think. Okay. I wanted to jump on because I wanted to have a real talk, real conversation with Mr. Jimmie Lee. Um, we had actually touched base a couple weeks ago because I felt led to have a real conversation with him about business live. Now we have the conversation over the phone, but I wanted to have it live because I wanted everyone who knows me and knows my brand to know the real raw and truth behind being a business person, behind investing in yourself, behind, regardless to whether you are an author or you're just a business owner. And so I wanted to have that conversation. So before we get started, Jimmy, tell people who you are and what you do.
Hi everyone. Some of you may know me, some of you may not know me. I am a designer, a clothing designer, entrepreneur, art/art enthusiast.
Mm-hmm.
I am Liberian, American born, but I grew up in a very much African home. And yeah, I have been working and pursuing my dreams since the age of 23, and I'm 33 now, so it's been about what 10 years, maybe a little over 10 years, give or take. And yeah, I have worked with some of the biggest companies from Target to Nordstrom's Rack. I've collaborated with them. I've collaborated with some other people as well. But yeah, I am just a overall entity of openness in the universe, I guess you can say. So yeah.
Well, I remember uh, back when. So I'm not going to go back and say that conversation. I'll let you bring that up and then I'll egg it on. But I have always been one of the older examples in business and in life. And so I was the one to jump out and why is it echoing? I don't understand. To jump out and experience life and experience business without anyone else being, the example. And so I made a lot of mistakes, both publicly and privately. And so in that, I wanted people to understand being in business stinks. I wanted to just put that out there first because a lot of people look at the successes of business and the people that make a lot of money and those who have six figures and seven figures and eight figures and they don't understand that it's hard and you have to invest both time, talent, and treasure. And so you're not an author yet. We're working on it. But can you please tell the people how you got into the industry of putting your items into the stores that you mentioned?
Well, to begin with, it was not easy. It was not easy. For one, the industry that I am continue to work in is very saturated, like a lot of the industries out there, professionalized. And if you're not well known, it makes it even harder to get into what you're trying to do and also be very successful at it and also build those relationships. But getting into the industry, which is fashion and clothing, and then kind of moving into entrepreneurship and marketing other things and doing other things, it started with, believe it or not, me being fired from Walmart. Yes, I worked at Walmart right out of high school. I took a break after graduating from high school. And I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, what am I going to do? I have no clue. I could be this, I could be that. I have no clue. And so I took a gap year and I just wanted to kind of figure out what I want to do with myself. And so I ended up getting kicked out of my aunt and uncle's place, believe it or not, because they thought that I wasn't contributing to the household. Older African, generation. It's a long story. We'll get into more details later. But they thought I wasn't contributing to the household, even though I just was out of high school trying to figure life out. So they kicked me out. It is what it is. They're still family. We still see each other. We love each other. And I went to go live with my god sister, or my sister as I consider her to be. And I got a job at Walmart or whatever. So I worked at Walmart for about maybe 3.5 years, and I got fired. Nothing crazy. I just got fired with some misunderstanding. And so I was like, you know what? All this time of growing up, I've always had this artistic mindset about clothing, about fashion, about art. I never understood it. I just knew it was something that I always personally enjoyed for myself. Um, and so I was like, you know what? I want to work from home. I want to learn how to sew. I want to learn how to create things with my hands or a sewing machine. And so I didn't come from a background of schooling to where I didn't go to school to learn how to make clothes. I didn't go to fashion school. So everything that I know has been self-taught and by the great God of YouTube. So
Right.
listen, YouTube is your father when your father's not there. Okay, listen.
Mhm.
So I learned everything how what I've been able to do simply off of YouTube and simply just by connecting and teaming up with other people and them teaching me the game and so on. And so as time progressed, I started to build a portfolio and I started working from home. And as I started working from home, I started working with magazine covers and I was traveling to New York. I worked with Alicia Keys. I worked with Azalea Banks. I worked with Kelly Rowland behind the scenes on these magazines covers, designing and styling and doing errands and all that stuff. And so in the process, I started to learn more about my craft and kind of turn my craft into a skill. And from that, I started to build a portfolio. And from a portfolio, I started to do different jobs from designing from quinceañeras to prom dresses and all that things. And so one day, one of my friends' wife was like, "Hey, my daughter's having a quinceañera. I would love for you to design her dress." And I was like, "Okay, sure, I'll do that for you." So I designed the dress for a quinceañera. Her daughter loved it. The mom loved it. And she was like, "Hey, um, have you been doing this for a long time?" And I'm like, "No, I just, it's a freelance situation, nothing serious. I'm just doing to pay the bills and so on." And she was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I work for Target, and I'm one of the buyers and vendors there. And right now we're going through a transition. And I would love for you to kind of sit down and kind of see what your ideas are as far as hitting a market demographic of people now that Target at that time was revamping everything. It was firing people and so on. And they wanted me to kind of go in and kind of, give my advice of what they thought was cool, and so on. So I gave her my portfolio. I didn't hear from her for about 6 months. So I was still doing what I had to do. I totally forgot about it. And then she reached back to me. She said, "Hey, Jay," they call me Jay. She's like, "Hey, Jay, I."
Ah, wait a second. See, you see how technology works? Hey, okay. So, Jimmy will be back in just 1 second. So, let me give you the backstory. Oh, there he is. I don't know what happened. Yes.
The devil is
You know,
working
we keep
today.
going when technology doesn't want to work for us. So, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So what is going on? So she was like, "Hey, I gave your portfolio to a few of the execs, and they loved your work that you've been working. She's like, they want to sit down and have a conversation with you." And I was like, "Oh, this is great. This is amazing. Sure." So I sat down with the execs at Target headquarters, and we went back and forth. We went back and forth on ideas. We went back and forth on concepts and demographic and marketing and all that fun stuff. And it kind of came down to the point that they were just like, "Hey, you know what? We would love for you to come work for us on some of your designs, and we'll even give you your own department. Now, this at this point in my life was huge because I was really a struggling artist to where I was working a 9 to 5, but I didn't have two pennies to rub together, but just enough to pay the rent.
And
Like
please
not
be
even
honest.
able to catch the bus, and I work only a mile away from work.
Right.
So this was a huge opportunity. So I was like, oh, I'm taking it. Yes, it's mine. Um, and so we sat down or whatever. They gave me the job offer, and one thing about business is that you have to understand it and you have to do your research. And you
Mm,
have to understand that a lot of times when it comes to these big corporations, they don't understand your vision and they don't understand your concept and where you're coming from. All they care about is how much money you're going to make them. And so
right.
you kind of have to play their game in order to kind of get what you need out of it.
Mhm.
So immediately I knew that um, I couldn't work for them. I had to work with them. And so I got myself a lawyer. And so we sat down, went over the agreement, and we renegotiated the contract. Um, and we figured out that they were able to give me full rights to my name, Jackson. If nobody knew my last name, well, my last name is Jackson.
Mhm.
Uh, to give me full rights to my last name, but also full 90, at least 90% ownership over the creative directiveness of the line that I was launching with them. And for that, it was kind of give and take because of that, they wanted ownership of it, but I knew that I'll get more money if I took my ownership of my own name. So
Right.
um, they gave me less money for a budget, but I still had the rights to my name, which was worth a lot more than anything else. So process went through. Next thing you know, I end up in Target. Things are going good, and then yeah, it just soared. So that's how I ended up in Target, and then from there I branched out. So
Awesome. So share an inside secret before I go on to the next question. Um, in retail, don't you have to pay to have your items sold at a store? So like a
yes,
okay. Uh, go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
So, the reason why I asked that question is because a lot of people have been asking, with us having the Black Authors Rock bookstore, why do we charge a fee in the beginning, and then we will pay them a percentage of their book sales? And so I wanted to ask you that question because I want people to understand that things are different depending on where they are, but most times you have to invest in order to have your items in any retail location.
Yes, that is true. Um, it's a business. And
Mhm.
just like any business owner or business partnership, there always has to be something that the person is looking for. 9 times out of 10, it's money or some type of compensation. And yes, anytime you have a product that you want to be featured inside of a department store or a bookstore or even a gas station in front of the rack, that person wants a percentage out of whatever you are going to make out of it in order for them to keep your product there. Because when you think in retrospect, there could be many other things that they could have accompanied your space with. And so you are going to have to pay for that space. It wouldn't be any different than you being a beautician or a barber and you have to pay for your chair in order to be in that salon. It's the same process when it comes to business. You have to pay for your spot, whether you coming out of pocket. Now there are some business deals to where you can have the space for free if you comp them X amount of such and such and so on and so on. But that's kind of where it kind of gets into the negotiation of a contract that you can kind of talk with them and kind of figure things out. But yes, you have to pay for it. And it may seem like it's a grab to where
Mhm.
it's like, oh, it sucks. I have to pay for this. I'm coming out of pocket. But what you're getting out of it is, what you're getting out of it is notoriety. People are walking past, people might see it. You're getting pretty much free advertising. It's pretty much what it's for. And so that is technically what you're paying for. And so it may seem like a bust at first, but the fact that more people are more familiar with it simply just by walking past it every day gives them a better chance to pick it up and read it, or to look at it, or to investigate, or do more research on you, and so on and so forth. So yes.
I love that you mentioned that. And I'm grateful because you're coming from the side of retail with clothing and you aren't an author yet. And yet you understand the process of business. So a lot of people don't see as an author, you should also be in business. When you started your process, had you started the foundation of getting your business registered with the state and getting those things in order? I know you mentioned a lawyer, but that was at the end when you, I mean, like in the early parts. But I wanted to ask, did you know, okay, I need to go ahead and get myself registered, get my name registered, get the foundation pieces together?
Yeah, that's the whole process. You have it's very important that whatever name or brand that you are sticking with, you have to get it registered to the state. Not only that for yourself, but also for copyright reasons.
Mhm.
In copyright infringement reasons, you don't want somebody to come along and steal your ideas and make money off of you simply because you didn't have your paperwork right. And it happens all the time, whether it be from authors and their stories or their um, titles or concepts. It happens with even designers. People can patent certain fabrics or designs or patterns so that way nobody steals from it, but still you're able to make a profit off of it. And so it's important that you do the legal work before you do anything else. Being creative when it comes to the writing or designing is the fun part of it. But when it comes to any business, it's always 90% business and then 10% creativity.
Yes.
It's always like that no matter what business you're in, whether you're signing books, writing books, you're making panties, it doesn't matter, you're
Mhm.
selling artwork. It's all about making sure your paperwork is right so it doesn't bite you back in the butt later. So yeah.
I love that. Thank you guys for those who have already joined us and for those who are sharing this broadcast because it's so important for people to know. And yes, it is a Saturday evening, and I decided that today would be the day to jump on to have this live conversation because we're springing forward. And so people are starting to get their stimulus checks. People
Come
are,
on, stimmies.
yes,
We're gonna
people
get
are
one.
starting to get their tax money if they haven't already. And so for those individuals who say, oh, I'm an author, but you haven't registered your brand as a business, or if you are an author and yet you have limited yourself on building your foundation with getting registered with the state uh, and making sure that you have all of your things in order. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question? So,
Yes.
you being an author, Miss LaTracy, so where did you start at? I'm curious because there's different ways of doing it, but where did you start at to make sure your things were registered and copyrighted?
I started with getting an LLC.
Okay.
Um, Many of you don't know, but I started in Minnesota. So, starting in Minnesota, I not only had a for profit, but I had a nonprofit. I had the luxury of having a master's in nonprofit management and another master's in executive leadership. So I knew the background of things. But that's only because I was afraid of people telling me no. So I used that fear to push it to get to where I needed to be. If you choose not to do an LLC, then get registered as a sole proprietor. Now, for me, I knew that I wanted to do more than just have books. I am a creative, so I knew that I wanted to have, programs behind it and conferences and things like that. So I knew how to partner the nonprofit with the for-profit to have the events, to get the grants, to get the promotions and all of those things. And so I had a different mindset. But for someone who is just starting out, I would recommend that you either go to somewhere like Black Authors Rock, or go to your SBA, or go to SCORE or something like that to get the information about how to set up a business. Go to your Secretary of State website, get the information, find out the fees, pay the fees, and know how to maneuver your plan. And so, in maneuvering your plan, like you already have retail, well, that's one side. You can also have another LLC for your other creative items. Um, and, and and a little tidbit of information: people are wanting to have the COVID money, and they say, "Oh, I'm a sole proprietor, or I'm an independent contractor." If you don't have the paper to back it up, if you don't have the income to back it up, if you don't have the Schedule C to back it up, you're going to jail. Um, I'm just going to be honest. You're going to jail. So I am not going to even put on that hat of a tax preparer, because I no longer do that and don't even want to go back to that realm. But don't falsify your information. If you are an author, I recommend, strongly recommend, that you have your foundation set up. If you don't know what to do, ask. If you are in the Black Authors Rock community, use the hashtag question. There is no stupid question. Ask the question. If you are like in California, we have a client that lives in California, and she said, well, to register an LLC, it's $800 in California. Well, are you worth it? Do you see the value? Are you planning on making more than $800 a year? Because when you look at it, the money that you spent for your book cover, the money you spent for your editor, the money you spent for your advertising and promotions, the money you spent for your headshots. Please don't take one in the bathroom, with the camera like that. When you get to the place of paying someone to assist you, even if you want to go the route for self-publishing, that's fine. But you will need the assistance, and you will need the help to get you from where you are to where you want to be. Whether it is coaching, or you want someone to do it for you, and you still get all of the royalties. There's ways to do that as well, especially with Black Authors Rock. But all of those things are tax deductible. Just being honest. Now, let me give you guys a little secret. Now, y'all see this red hair?
Come on,
Mm-hmm.
right here. We see
Yeah,
it.
this red hair. Mm-hmm. If you catch me on a good day, it's gonna be nice and gray all over the and all over the, because I've been gray since I was a young. But this little red hair, it's a part of my branding. Okay, I'm just saying. So for me to have to go and pay, now I could do my hair myself, but for me to go and pay to keep up my branding,
It's under your business. Yeah.
it's under my business. For me to have to go and get my hair cut, and if you see me in a branded shirt, hmm all of that, it's all a part of my business expenses. Don't come with me and we're going out to eat and we're talking about the business. It's a part of the business expense. If I have to travel to you, I listen. There's ways around it. Before COVID, I was gone 3 to 4 weeks, or 3 to 4 weekends out of every month. I realized, bless you, I realized that there are ways to do it. Our former president, Mr. You know his name, he's working around, some taxes. Um, I'm not saying do what he did, but I'm saying learn and glean from where you need to glean and be smart about it. And so, as an author, especially a Black author, but any business person, I strongly encourage you to make sure that you have your foundation in order. And if you don't, there are many people out here that can assist. And if I can't help you, I will refer you to someone else because there's stimulus money. Hmm. There's PPP money. Hmm. There's there's also, lots of grants out here available. But if you don't have your paperwork in order, you're going to jail. Especially if you lie on the paperwork on the applications. Your taxes should be in order. I know there are a lot of people who say, "Well, I can do my own taxes." Well, when you have a business, I don't recommend you doing your own taxes because unless this is something that you are in business to do, and this is your knowledge and your skill set, because you can get messed up. You want to have a proper CPA, an accountant, someone who's going to assist you in this. And this is not just as an author. You never thought about that when you were sitting there writing, right? Mm. But I'm saying that it's so important. My 8-year old wrote a book. Hmm. That little 8-year old Miss Perkins. Her her business name is registered. I'm just saying. Uh, and so it's also in the process of being trademarked because her mommy's smart. Uh, but I need you all to understand that in business, whether it is in retail or whether you are an author, there are certain things that you need to do to get your house in order. And so I encourage you to do so. Yeah. So now I'm off my bandwagon. Any other questions? And if you guys have any questions while you're watching, please feel free to put them in the chat and or down below, and I or myself or Jimmy will answer them.
Yes, 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 yes.
I don't see any questions. Um, you had mentioned that you were a, what is the word that you use? Starving artist?
I'm sorry.
Did you say starving artist?
Yeah, at one time it
Struggling. You said
was.
struggling.
Yeah,
Struggling. Yes. Because that's one thing about our family. We can always go to someone's house and eat. Just
period.
saying. Um, in terms of trademark, what should be trademarked? Your brand should be trademarked. If you have your like book titles can't be trademarked, but your brand is something that you definitely should be. Your logo is something that should be trademarked. So just and I can give you, if you don't have the information, some very trusted trademark attorneys that can assist you with that process. All right, you guys, any other questions? That's what we're here for. And I jumped on a Saturday evening because I know a lot of people are about to get there or have already received their stimulus and their taxes, and people are all excited about going shopping. That, you won't see me out there. But yes, I'll definitely share that information. No, but I mean, be wise. If you have not set up your foundation, do so. Um, if your books are in the Black Authors Rock bookstore and you get paid for your book sales, you have to pay taxes on that. We pay taxes.
Mm-hmm.
You also have to pay taxes on the money that you receive. Are you
Yep.
registered with the Department of Revenue for the state that you live in? A lot of people don't know that. Um, I I'm all about the whole QuickBooks, and they take out the good state and federal taxes for my employees as well as for my sales. Says I need help getting my paperwork in order. My book has not been copywritten. I spoke to my tax superior about covering myself and paying taxes, income, expenses, etc., and awaiting on her response. Awesome. So normally, um, and Miss Carolyn, I can assist you with that. Miss Carolyn is also one of our spotlight authors in the bookstore. Uh, when you are getting your taxes done, it's best for you to ask those questions to your tax preparer so that they can assist you with your upcoming year. Don't wait. Not saying Miss Carolyn did, but don't wait till it's tax time and then you're like, oh, I need to have all this written off. If you didn't properly do it, even your mileage, it needs to be documented. And so there are apps that can assist you. There are ways that it can be done. I mean, I love my trusty notebook in the car where I start my mileage and I get there. You know, um, even being a part of nonprofit work, you can write that off. It's charity. I didn't realize I needed to register with the state as well as do an LLC. So doing it now. Yes, it is strongly recommended as an author to set up your business. You are an entrepreneur. You are creating the foundation to be a business owner. I don't believe anyone who has written a book only wants to write one book and not do anything with it, because there's multiple streams of income you can get from your book project. And so don't allow that to limit you because you don't have your foundation in order. I just keep hearing that church song, Get Your House in Order. I do. I'm loving these questions and comments. All right, Jimmy, you have any other comments, concerns?
No, I mean, I'm I'm from the standpoint of motivation to keep going and not to get discouraged when it comes to whatever you're doing. And I know it seems like people, when people start putting money into themselves, they get frustrated because they don't see a return back as quickly as they would like to.
Yes.
But me and many of my friends, and I'm sure Dr. LaTracy would tell you that when you invest in yourself, it's always the best investment you can possibly make. And even though you do not see it now, I can guarantee you that in the long run, when you continue to invest in yourself and continue to build your brand and also build your legacy, because what you're doing is actually building a legacy. There's always something you're going to get out of it, profit wise, money wise, or just experience wise in general. And so, yeah, I it's been a long journey,
Someone just said, Jimmy, drink some water. That's one.
right. Just,
I
but
mean,
no,
they're like, let me take care of you. Drink some water.
it's been a long journey. Nothing great. I think I told Tracy this. I was like, nothing great is going to come easy, and it's not going to come overnight. So
Mm-hmm.
you just have to keep doing what you're doing best and keep going. I believe in myself, and then when you believe in yourself, the payoff is always great. I come from a spiritual background, and I keep God first, then I keep myself second. And
Mm-hmm.
so keeping all the distractions away from you doing what you need to do has always done me justice and kept me out of trouble, for one. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I mean, you doing Black Authors Rock has really put a seed in my head and in my life to make sure that I need to write a book. Now, it's always been something that I wanted to do. It's like, past when I'm like, on the red carpet or something, I write like an all-tell book. But now I'm like, no, this book needs to happen maybe sooner than later, with everything going on. So yeah.
And there are creative ways. I know we've talked offline about creating a book. A lot of people don't realize it's not about just the words. People can be visual. You can create art books, coffee table books, children's books. When Purpose decided to write her book, she did not want to read. So I pushed her to speak it. And that's how she wrote her book, because she didn't want to read anything during the COVID season when school shut down. Um, but writing her book actually increased her confidence. So I'm going to ask you, Jimmy, has there ever been a time? Yes, journals, hmm devotionals, workbooks, everything. There's multiple streams of income from writing a book. And I love the fact that people are seeing that now. But have you ever not believed in yourself?
Yeah. Even to this day. It's so funny that you say that because I put fashion and clothing aside at the moment, and now I'm focusing on a different purpose. which is artwork. So I started painting and so on. And so I had this vision in my head of painting and creating. Actually, you guys can see it. I did that piece right there. Uh,
Yeah.
but creating artwork and so on. And so as I'm painting these paintings, because I had this vision of doing these things, I was like, is it good enough? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's no Picasso, you know, it's no Jackson Pollock, it's no Van Gogh. Uh, I don't think I can do this. Like, maybe this was just a figment imagination of me having to buy artwork and me thinking that I can do that because the artwork wasn't where I wanted it to be. But as time progresses, things, little seeds start to keep happening to where it's only validating what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
And it's the same validation that I had before I got into clothing, you know, and that took me, that bought my mom a house, that got me the car, got me the job. I was able to travel and have an extended resume. And so I recognize those things and those little breadcrumbs that God keeps leaving for me in the forest that I keep picking up. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to get to grandma's house eventually, grandma Sarah's house eventually.
Yeah.
So I just need to pick up these little breadcrumbs, and just keep doing what I'm doing. But even to this day, with all the success that I've had and the networking that I've done in my resume, I still have doubt. I'm still like, I don't know if I can do this, but I still have to remind myself that it's not about me, it's about the bigger picture. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what keeps me going.
I love that you said that. You said a lot of little nuggets. So I'm gonna go back a little bit. A couple weeks ago, we had an event called Bar Kids. It was an event to spotlight youth entrepreneurs and authors. How did I come up with that? Because I had some sweet babies who had some talent. And even though Black Authors Rock is known for just authors, maybe you haven't gotten into the whole author arena yet, but it's in you and it's going to come out soon. And so we spotlighted Langston Duncan and her cookie company and Purpose Copeland and her books. And so it was phenomenal. We partnered with another business and they allowed us to come in the middle of COVID with our mask on, right? To come in and spotlight these sweet babies. And Purpose, for many of you who know, Purpose has superpowers. And so sometimes she just doesn't feel like being bothered with people. And so she was interviewed by the news and the radio, and I was like, wow, look at this little 8-year-old. And one moment she was like, I just don't feel like being bothered. But then the next minute I said, well, you're going to be on TV. She was like, oh, paparazzi. Okay, they're going to see me, right? And she said, she told her story on the news. And then that following Monday, I went into the bookstore and one young lady came in with her mom and she said, excuse me, can you tell me where Purpose is? I'm like, she's over there. And she said, excuse me, Purpose, how did you get on TV? She said, oh, my mom did that, just like that. And it really just got me because this baby was 12 years old and she came to the store with her mother because she saw Purpose on TV. So you have to see something in order to do it. Okay? That's first. So that is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring Jimmie on here because a lot of people are saying, well, I want to get my items in the store, whether it is retail or books or whatever. I wanted them to know it's a black man with his items in major department stores, right? You know how some people they will say, "Oh, he's famous. Ooh, I know him." Okay, so now you can network and say, "Okay, I know him. Let me connect with him because I know him." And but the young lady told me, she said, "Well, I haven't written a book, but I've done art." And she showed me on her phone the pictures that she painted and the pictures that she drew. And she said, "I want to be the next child that you spotlight." So she was bold enough to come to me and say, this is what I want. This is what I've done. I said, so are you ready to sell or do you just want people to walk past and just look at it? She said, no, ma'am, I want to sell it. I said, okay, well, let me find a location for it. because that right there just blessed me because I thought bar kids, it was an idea on a whim. And but at the same time, I knew the babies needed that to build their confidence. So even though us as adults we doubt, children doubt too. And whatever it takes to spotlight them or to make them or make us feel better, we need to do it. And that's one of the reasons why Black Authors Rock is even here, because I saw a need in my own life as an author. And so I wanted to make sure that I made that readily available for others. And so when you said the nuggets that bring you back to Grandma Sarah's house, okay, so I told y'all in the beginning that we go way back. Oh, goodness. 2005?
I think it was.
Well before then. I'm saying 2005 is the story that I want to touch on. When family doesn't always get along, family doesn't always support, family doesn't always encourage. But if you have one mission and you keep going, then it will work eventually. And I said all that to say because I remember when Grandma Sarah passed away and I rented that van. It was a 15 passenger van. And even though family was blood and some wasn't, we got together in the van on all different accords, but we knew we needed to show up to lay her to rest. And so um, it was difficult because I think I was the only one with driver's license.
You were the only person driving.
I
Only
was
one.
the only person coming from Minnesota to Memphis with driver's license driving a 15 passenger van in 2005.
With
Now,
other
my
kids in the car too. Yeah.
uncles, everybody in the van, but I'm the only one with driver's license. And even though I was to them a child, I was legally an adult, but I was still to them a child. They didn't take me seriously. And yet they needed me to get to where we were going. There's a message in all of this. Okay.
Speak it.
So listen, being in a 15 passenger van, that was the vehicle that was used to get from Minnesota to Memphis to lay Grandma Sarah to rest. And one of the things that she used to say all the time when we were younger was, you need to look to the hills from which cometh your help, because your help cometh from the Lord. And I promise you, I didn't understand nor did I know what she meant until recently because we were not all on the same accord, but because of that one person, we got to where we needed to go. It was a bunch of arguing, it was some fussing, a little bit of cussing, you know, some threats, the whole 9 yards. And I say that because when you are on your entrepreneurial journey, you may cuss, you may fight, you may do some threatening. It may not look good, but you have to stay focused on that one thing that is going to get you to where you need to be. And you never know where those lessons are going to come from. But I look back at that situation of driving that 15 passenger van with our family in it. And some family was like, I'm not going. And other families was like, I'm going. And folks didn't have money. You know how it is when it's a funeral, folks get ugly. But at the same time, we were all on one accord. So I'm encouraging you right now that regardless to whether your family, blood or not, support you, whether they get in the van with you or not, when you are hustling and selling those books out of the back, or if you have those clothes that you are doing Facebook Live and you're doing a live sale for your boutique, regardless to what it looks like, make sure you have your foundation in order and that you're focused on where you need to be. Just grab one person. You have to attach your faith to somebody else. Do that to get it done. And so I'm grateful for Jimmie because I never thought to come up with a clothing design, but to see his items in Target and in Nordstrom's and places like that, I can say, ha, look, that Jackson line right there, that's connected to me. Just like he can say, oh, Black Authors Rock, oh, yeah, that's connected to me. So for those who are watching, you may not be blood relative or anything like that. And, and I always question why God sent me to Mississippi, but I see now. He sent me here because I had to be an example, because I had to be brought apart or set apart from those that were around me who were in the same thinking, so that things can be done differently, so that they can see a different example. So you may just have to be that trailblazer in your family or in your circle, and connect with other people. So just like you mentioned, he was networking, uh, and it created net worth for him. Just saying.
Tracy, let me tell you about purpose and destiny. Or let me tell you guys about purpose and destiny. Um, when you first, I believe in the law of attraction.
Hmm.
I believe in the law of manifestation. Whether everything in the world is energy. That's what I believe. And
Hmm.
I think God is an energy because he is within us and we create this energy of his own power and so on.
Right.
Uh, but when you are walking in your purpose and you are walking in your own destiny, there is going to be a lot of dead weight that is going to drop off of you.
That's right.
It's going to be sometimes friends,
Hmm.
sometimes it's going to be family. Sometimes it's going to be your closest sisters or your brothers, or your mom, your dad, and so on. And so, because I was steady in walking into my purpose and walking in my purpose, I lost a few. There are some family members that I don't talk to anymore. And it's not that I hate them, but it's the fact that they weren't aligned on the same purpose that I was going on. And so I had to drop that dead weight in order for me to fly. Um, I can't have an anchor on me and expect to try to sail the seven seas. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And so when you are focused on what you need to be focused on, you have to understand that there are going to be people who do not support you.
Hmm.
I could tell you right now that I've had more support from the people that I don't know, that
Yeah.
I've never seen before, people that don't know me from a can of paint and from another black man on TV. I've had
Yeah.
more support from them, not to say from my family, but from the people that actually do know me and
Yeah.
have seen me. So, with that being said, when you start walking in your purpose, God will put people, complete strangers, in the way to make sure that you are taken care of.
Yeah.
And so when you have that, it's important that you keep the focus steady and have your blinders on and start having tunnel vision when it comes to these things. And that's why Dr. LaTracy here and myself, having those blinders on and being focused, those eagle eyes, comes at a big stand that we're able to kind of do what we need to do to have a better life for ourselves. And then that way we can kind of revert back and kind of pick up those people or help them out if need to be, because now we are in a position, in a place that we need to be, um, and walking in our purpose. And so that is why, some people may not know, but I was teaching classes, which is a whole nother story how I ended up doing that. I was teaching classes at the Art Institute here in Minnesota. One of the teachers came to me. She was like, I've seen your work online. I know you have a clothing line. I would love for you to come teach some of my students on the business side of things and how you got started with the clothing line and all that stuff. And so I was teaching the class, and one of the students came up to me and she was like, Mr. Jackson, she was like, I want to do what you're doing. She's like, I don't care about the fame. I just want to take care of my family, doing what I love. And she was like, I see that that's what you're doing. And she's like, I want to be just like that. And it touched my heart. And all that did was just make me want to go harder, uh, for my craft and my skill and fine tuning it as well. So, yeah. Uh, Tracy, stop. You about to bring the, the church in here. Listen.
Right. Right.
We could talk about this all day. I mean, it's like,
It's in us. It is in us. I'm telling you. I love it. Any more questions, comments, concerns that you guys may have? I thank you all who have stayed with us for the last 49 minutes. I mean, this has been a phenomenal conversation. And like I had mentioned before, we didn't know exactly where the conversation was going to go. We knew what we wanted to discuss in the beginning, but I really enjoy having uh, the real conversation because a lot of people are like, "Oh, I want to have my face on the front of the book."
It's more
Well,
to it. There's
right.
more to it.
And to be honest, unless you have your brand where it is on top of a whole lot of things like TD Jakes, and people know you when they just see your face, I wouldn't necessarily put your face on the cover because people do judge a book by its cover. I'm just trying to say. Um, but these are the type of conversations that we need to have because a lot of people want to be where we are and they don't understand the realness, I mean, behind, this whole conversation, this whole lifestyle, this whole brand. And I tell people all the time, I don't like being on. I mean, the quote unquote being on. I love putting on me some jogging pants or, some pajamas and going from
Or
there,
some
putting
jigs
on
and
some button.
sweats.
Right. I'm trying to tell you, I don't even wear makeup like that. So if you see me with some lipstick on, it's got to be a good one because you know I'm bold with the hair. But besides that, you know. But yes, thank you guys so much for joining us. Miss Linda said, "Thank you both of you. This has been so helpful. I'm going to be walking in my purpose mid-April after I left my. Wait a minute. I'm going to be okay after you leave your position. Okay, I just woke up this morning and decided that she's going to walk in her purpose. Congratulations, Miss Linda. And then
Congrats, Linda.
I'm trying to tell you that's a beautiful thing. Miss Carolyn said this is a great session. Thank you for the nuggets of wisdom and sharing your expertise. You are most welcome. And if you have any questions for myself or for Jimmy, Jimmy's also in Black Authors Rock, but you can find him on Facebook under Jimmie Lee. Jimmy, you want to share with the people where your items are or any other place they can find you on social media?
Right now, just Facebook. Find me on Facebook. I'm still working out the platforms for my artwork and for other things going on right now. So I'm still in the process of doing that. I mean, we're still hustling,
Right.
and the hustle doesn't
Mhm.
stop.
That's
So
what we do.
it takes a little time to perfect the craft and fine tune it. So give me a minute. But as far as right now, you can find me on Jimmie Lee on Facebook. I'm an open book. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a funny video or a nice little life mantra from me. So expect that.
Yes.
Uh, so please, by all means, reach out to me if you guys have any questions about anything or you just want to pick me up about life or what's the next step to do in walking in your purpose, understanding yourself, or even just you just need somebody to vent to. I'm a great listener. So even with a million things going on, I always find time to appreciate somebody who seeks some type of help. So I'm always here as well, whether it could be by anything, or even if I don't know, I can always reference you to somebody who knows something more than I do when it comes to that topic or subject. So, but yeah, so just Jimmie Lee on Facebook and my picture's up there and I'll add you in and yeah, we could become friends and you could be introduced to my crazy world.
Yes. Miss Carolyn June Jackson said, may she send you a friend request.
Oh yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Friend request me away, please.
So I love it. Yes. So thank you guys again for joining us. Thank you, Jimmy, for this candid conversation. If you,
Anytime.
I'm a phone call away. I don't plan on coming back to Minnesota anytime soon. Uh,
Why? You have to come back at least once in the summer.
and okay, well, Rosario is graduating in May,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm gonna have to show up because I don't know if my mom's gonna fly down here. I have to come and lay eyes on her, just got to come and do that, come and fuss at her real quick, that type of thing. But
The
I would
regular, yeah.
I sneak in because I tell people I'm coming to town, it's over, and they forget it's COVID. They're like, "Hey, let me get in your face." No, no, it's COVID. Yeah.
No, no.
All right. Well, I love you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you guys again for joining us. And don't forget that if you need anything, reach out to us. We are available in an open book. So we'll talk to you soon and you continue to rock out. All right. Bye.